Hello, brothers and sisters. Raven here. Today, we are going to go through another one of the children's books from Homestead Heritage. This is the longer one of those I've seen. It's called The Path of Salvation. Now, this one is over 50 pages worth, and there's a bit more writing on the pages than in the others. But I'm going to only focus on two parts of this, at least for now. If things come up, I may bring it up again sometime, but right now I just want to go to the first and last pages of this to explain a bit of what's happening here. One thing you'll see in some movies, some stories that's often done to make it more creative is you'll see things in almost a random order, like they don't put things in sequence. Now, if it's done well, this is done right and isn't just trying to be creative, there are primarily three reasons. First reason would be if there are certain things about doing it in a different order than in sequence that might help you experience it the way certain characters experience it. It's a way to make it so you connect better with those in the story. Second reason you might do this is if there's certain information they don't want you to have until later. If there's something that, say, is a bit of a surprise or a twist that is going to kind of help you get the point of the story, of what it's trying to do, of what it's there to show you. If it's going to help drive that point home. The third reason I've seen this used, and I think is rarely going to work as well, but can, is if you're trying to focus on something at the beginning and the end. Because one thing that happens when you've got something that's appears a little disorganized, that goes a little random, is people lose track. So there's only two things they're going to keep track of, and that is where it starts because there's no confusion yet. And the other is how it ends, because there's nothing after it to confuse you further. So everything in between, unless there are certain things that stick out that are really unique or really good at grabbing attention, those things are going to be so muddied and confused a lot of times you're not going to notice much. Now, the reason this can work is if something about what happens at the end is what the whole story is about and trying to point toward. If it's the realization that comes at the end, that really gets the whole purpose of it to come across. Those are the three ways in which that kind of story can be used. At least I should say used in a good way. Now, at first, I would be prone to make the assumption that Homestead is not doing this for a reason. They're just not very good at this. But if you look at the first and last pages of this, there's a reason. Because this is extremely disorganized. They're jumping around. They are not telling things in order in this. This is very chaotic. And if they really were trying to teach the gospel and what's in scripture, they would have this in a whole different order. Because this is a way that's going to make it confusing. If you really want to make this about getting the gospel across, especially to children, which is what this book is for kids to color, then you really shouldn't be doing it the way you're doing it. But I don't think this is accidental at all. I don't think this is them being necessarily foolish. I think this is very much on purpose. So, let's look at the first and the last. On the first one, you get this image of what's just the horizon and what they call dawn. See here the way they've got that light on the horizon and it's lighting up the path that they're showing. And what they say on this page is, the path of the righteous is like the first gleam of dawn, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. God is that light shining on our path, and in him there is no darkness at all. Now, at first, again, this can sound like they're being careless. They're not really wording this very carefully, and it doesn't sound right because they talk about the path of righteous is like the first gleam of dawn. So it can sound like they're talking about this light as righteousness. But no, it's talking about the first gleam of dawn. And it says, shining ever brighter to the full light of day. And then after that, God is that light shining on our path. So this can sound good when you stop and you think about that. They're saying the full light is God. That sounds good. That sounds about right. Here's the problem. Look at the order in which that places it. The dawn, the first hint of light, comes from righteous. So it's your righteousness that gets you to know God. On the last page, you get this picture that it's hard to be sure exactly what you're seeing, if it's a path through fields or maybe it's a beach with a wave coming. Can't really tell, but what you can see clearly is light coming down on it in front of her. And what it says on this page is this: as we daily walk in faith down the path of the righteous, where Jesus shines his light along the way, we come to know him more and more, and the end of the path of the righteous is the full light of day. We shall then live forever in that light with Jesus in heaven. Note the way this is said. Path of the righteous. Of the righteous. Where Jesus shines his light along the way. Not his light is the way, but he shines it along the way. The end of the path of the righteous is the full light of day. We shall then live forever in that light with Jesus in heaven. So, after saying forever in that light, they have to clarify with Jesus. This righteous is them. The path of the righteous is the path of the body, is the path of Homestead heritage. Because you can see here, the way they're talking, there is a difference between the righteous and Jesus. Now, it could be considered good if they were saying that what they mean by that is the path of Jesus, but no. The way it's talked about here, that's not what they're saying. So going by those 2 pages, look at what that means. According to that last page, it's following the path of the righteous. Their righteousness, their deeds, the righteousness of the body, the righteousness of Homestead heritage. It's following that path. And then at the beginning, it says the path of the righteous is like the first gleam of dawn. Homestead heritage comes first. How they've done this is not a mistake. This is for children, and it's written the way it is for a reason. Because especially with the young ones, the things that are going to stick out, the beginning and the end. Not the muddied mess in between because of the disorganization of how they're telling the story. And that part at the beginning and the end makes it all about you have to follow the path of their righteousness to follow Jesus and find God. Again, they're making it the body. Being part of the body is what leads to salvation, instead of it being his salvation making you part of the body. Either that was intentional and they are brainwashing, or if you're going to argue against me, you're saying they're just terrible writers and they're very bad teachers. Either way, you shouldn't be following them. I'll see you guys next time. God bless.